lot of people are going to see these scat packs, these wide body scat packs and these wide body Hellcats on the lot, and they're going to sit there and wonder, you know, is the Daytona, even though it's a limited production vehicle, is it going to be worth that extra amount of money? Probably the most powerful, best performing Daytona that they've ever produced. All right, guys, so we have some Charger news that's circulating, and quite a few YouTubers and websites have really done a good job of covering this story. And, you know, Dodge is now going to be bringing back the Daytona in 2020, but for a limited production run. I hear that it's going to be a wide body Charger Hellcat Daytona, and there's only going to be about 501 of these things. So I really don't want to get too far into kind of the specs of everything. The Daytona really has been kind of exclusive to the 5.7, and then in 2015 it got a 392 version, and as we know now, you can't get one. But in 2020, Dodge is going to be bringing back probably the most powerful, best performing Daytona that they've ever produced. But I think they've kind of made a few mistakes with this decision. Here's the thing, guys. This Daytona kind of reminds me of the Mopar 17. And the Mopar 17 was a Challenger shaker that Mopar released in 2017, 2018, very limited production vehicle, but the price tag on it was it was too high, and many people would rather have spent a couple extra dollars on getting a Hellcat. Now, I know that the price tag has not been released on the Hellcat Daytona, but, you know, based on prior, limited production vehicles and how the Daytona trim level, in 2015 through 2017 was priced out at, you're probably going to be talking about an increase of several $1,000s over a regular wide body Charger Hellcat. And I think the biggest mistake that they've made, or they're going to be making, is that they're releasing this limited edition Daytona with the wide body Charger Scatpack and the wide body Hellcat. I think that the timing all was off. Really, they should have been releasing the wide body Charger Hellcat in 2019, and then once everybody gobbled up their wide bodies, to then move on to, a Daytona version where it was a limited or a special edition version of these wide bodies. So what's really going to happen in 2020 is all these wide body Chargers are going to be hitting the road, and to be perfectly blunt, I think this Daytona is going to look like a very oddball kind of up badger thing. Not many people are going to realize that this is a special trim level because of the buzz that's going to be surrounded around all the wide body Scat Packs and regular Hellcats. Now, I am a big fan of the Daytona, and them producing a Hellcat Daytona, in my opinion, is pretty badass. If you take a look at some of the photos of the exterior, obviously it's going to look great. But the problem is the wide body Charger, Scatpack, and Hellcat are going to be so new to people that the Daytona wide body Hellcat is not going to have as much of a wow factor and a buzz that I think that they're looking to generate, which is something that I think was a downfall to the Mopar 17. Is that even though it was special, limited production, when you looked at it on a car dealership lot, you would often scratch your head and wonder why the price tag was just so much higher than the other Shakers or the other Challengers. And I think that's going to probably likely happen to this Hellcat Daytona. I think a lot of people are going to see these scat packs, these wide body scat packs and these wide body Hellcats on the lot, and they're going to sit there and wonder, you know, is the Daytona, even though it's a limited production vehicle, is it going to be worth that extra amount of money when there's still so much buzz surrounding the Scat Pack wide body and the Hellcat? So guys, let me know what your thoughts are on this Daytona. The photos look awesome, but again, you know, like you look at the photos and immediately your focus is on that new front fascia, that new fender flare. You're loving it. And you know, if you remove those decals, the Daytona decals, you're still amazed by how aggressive the stance looks of the wide body Charger, and you know, just the overall design now looks just so much sleeker. I think that they would have been better off, you know, kind of waiting or somehow changing up the timelines of when things were introduced. But that's not here nor there, you know. I still think that these things are going to sell. I do think that the people that end up with them are going to really enjoy it. I've driven a few Daytonas, and I'll tell you, the interior touches that go into a Daytona trim level are awesome. The custom stitching, when you're driving it, you know that you know, you're in a trim level that has a little bit of heritage behind it. One of the, and this is kind of a, not really a separate topic, but I think one thing that Dodge should have done, and you know, you could disagree with me if you want, is that the Daytona trim level should have come with a better performing, like a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more torque, maybe even better gearing, just something to push it a little bit ahead of the other, you know, trim levels. So if you got a 392 Daytona, maybe you get a bit extra horsepower and torque over a Scat Pack, or the same applies to the 5.7. And I think that they're missing the boat a little bit, especially with this Hellcat version. I think that they should push the boundaries just a little bit more, make it where maybe the Daytona is the first version of the Red Eye. Okay, make sure, you know, make it where if you want the first kind of Charger Red Eye, it would be this limited production Daytona to make it feel a little bit more special. 707 wheel horsepower. I'm sorry, 707 horsepower Hellcat Daytona, and then a year later you have yourself the wide body Charger Red Eye Hellcat. You know, so I don't know. I think you know, depending on the price tag attached to it, you know, we're all gonna have to see. But overall, a lot of exciting things are going to be happening. I'm just not sure that introducing this wide body Hellcat Daytona, along with the wide body Scat Pack and the wide body Hellcat, is going to really do well. Okay, because I think a lot of people, like I said, are going to be on the lots, and they're going to be looking at the new styling of the wide body, and they're probably not going to really be too enthusiastic about spending that $7,000 or $8,000 on the limited production Daytona. And to this day, I'll tell you, I have gone to a few of the Dodge dealers around me, and they still have Mopar 17 Challenger Shakers sitting on the lot. And, you know, at this point, it's like 3 years old. So it's just, they have to be careful with these limited production vehicles. You have to make them more special than the trim level, and to always make sure that you're justifying the price tag attached to them. So, all right, guys, that's really what I had to say about this Daytona, this Hellcat Daytona. A lot of other YouTubers have covered this, you know, and they've done a really good job of covering the nuances of it and showing it in detail and whatnot. So definitely let me know what your thoughts are. And if you haven't already, definitely hit that subscribe button. The channel is approaching 40,000. It is really zooming in on that 40K mark, and it's a heck of a milestone. And I really want to thank you guys for constantly, you know, liking the videos, sharing the videos, watching the videos, even disliking the videos. You know, all that activity really translates into channel growth.